Would you be okay with a game 100% someone else's assets? You never edited a model ever. It's all assets you bought online. I love you, buddy.
People are not good at making assets. I'm not good at making art. What do you say to those people? They just can't make games?
Honestly, you have to edit the assets for your game if you're paying for them.
He will go into indie games and like point at certain things and go like, oh, that's an asset. That's a paid asset. That's a paid asset. That's a paid asset. And then people from his community will go and like dogpile on this person.
Oh, that's so shit.
As a gamer, I don't care about the creative integrity of the art.
Were you not impressed? What did you think?
I was impressed!
It's a great point that I think actually leans towards me. You decided to creatively express yourself in this way, and it didn't work out because you're not that talented in it. But
I disagree. Completely.
Maxi, I will fucking beat you. I will find you and fucking beat you to the ground. Put that shit away. God, I feel like a teacher. I'm in fucking school.
I don't think I have to clap.
I don't think Maxi
Will it
has to
help?
clap either.
I have to. Okay, Henry. I have to clap because the camera is 2 seconds back from my thing, so you have to line the thing up, the clap up with the audio clap, so it's lined up.
W Maxi.
Wait, do you do that?
I don't record like that normally. The camera is connected to the PC, but it's not through like it's over the GoPro app, and the GoPro app has a 2-second delay. So
he just asked you if you do it manually, and you acted like that was a math question. You're like, hold on, you're like calculating.
First you calculate the square root of the hypotenuse, take the shortest side, score it, and then.
Well,
if I would record it that way, I would do it. Yeah. Or what do you mean? If I do it before I send it to you.
So you do manually set it. You do that. Do you line up the audio with the video before you send it to me?
No, I don't do that.
This is topic one
That's
right
why
here.
I'm clapping.
I thought I was saying cool things, and you were like, good job. I thought that was what you were doing.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's fine. You could do it. But I'm just like, I don't know why you do it. You could do it. I don't care.
I just explained it.
He explained.
The audio is not synced up with my camera. So if I talk, the camera will pick up on my lip sync. Like it's going to be 2-second delayed. And that's why I'm clapping. So you can see when my hands touch. And then you can just line this up with the clap.
Yeah, I understand. It's just
super easy.
When you send it to me, you said you don't do that manually. But when you send it to me, it's already synced up. So I don't do anything when you send it to me. You don't
like
do
an Abbott
anything.
Maybe
Costello
it's just
bit.
not synced then. Or wait. Or it's like certain... This is possible. No.
I mean, it's fine. I don't care. You can do it. But it just... I don't.
That classic Maxi Henry banter we've all
I
been waiting for.
I don't care. It's just...
Are we recording that?
Yeah, listeners are loving this. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Overscoped podcast. My name is MZ_F. With me today is the movement shooter master, Maxi Dev on YouTube. Maxi, how are you?
Hello there. I'm
and then we...
good.
Oh, well, I'm just going to jump around. Come back to you. Hold that in and think about how good you actually are, if your cat died or if anything else happened. Also with me is Henry, otherwise known as Veros Studios. How are you?
I'm good. Hello.
Good. And last but not least, our soon-to-be doctorate, probably a mathematician, or I don't know, I didn't go to college, but is Kobe, our Australian Kobe Dev on YouTube.
Yeah. How's it going? Nice to see you this fine morning or night or wherever you live.
Yeah, it's going well. Maxi, how are you? I did cut you off.
I crashed
how's
my
your day
mouse
going,
car
buddy?
yesterday. Was it yesterday?
No,
It
you
was
didn't.
yesterday.
Okay. I like this start. Jeez, what happened? Tell me more.
Anyway. Nothing special. Just
Just a car crash. Nothing special, really. Just average Tuesday. Yeah.
I was probably moving too much power, so.
Okay, got you. You weren't, it wasn't like a head-on collision?
It was just like stupid.
Kobe, really, you have abandoned us. I saw you left my Discord, right? So I'm upset with you there, although you deleted your old Discord, so you got your new Discord back is what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
But I did see that, and I was like, oh no, my friend hates me now. How's college going, buddy?
It's going good. I don't want to jinx it, but like the first 2 tests I've had have been like really easy. And I'm second guessing like, is it going to be this easy? Because I was just told that college is going to be so hard. It's like next level up from high school. But like
Yeah.
the only tests I've had have been like pop quizzes and then a few assignments that we type up in our own time, and those have been pretty cruisy as well. So it could just be the small sample size, or it could be like just starting that easy into it. But I'm going good. I'm enjoying it, meeting heaps of new people, and it's very cool. So
I wanted to ask this: are you meeting game dev people? Like, do you tell people what you do and everything?
actually, yeah, a few of them. There's actually a game dev club there that I'm like a Discord member of. And I think one of your people in your community actually goes to Curtin as well, and he reached out through
cool.
your server. And it's like, oh, bro, I go to the same university. So I think he might be a part of the club as well, but I think the time the actual game dev meetings happen is when I have like a lecture, so I can't actually go there in person, which is unfortunate.
Super cringe.
Yeah, so I'm only really part of their Discord server. That's it.
Sorry, my shit just froze, but I'm back now. Henry, how are you doing? My last buddy to check in. My contrarian Henry.
Yeah, least favorite. I got
Shut up! Oh my god, you're my most favorite.
Yeah, I'm good. I was working on a Unity asset that I'm planning on releasing soonish, or I just finished like learning a new aspect of Unity. So I'm hoping that I'll be done with it in like a week, hopefully.
That's quick.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work. I just have to like sit down and actually do the work, you know.
A new aspect of Unity?
Yeah, well, for me, a new aspect of Unity, the Unity editor, like extending the Unity editor so it's easier to just make stuff. But something that we talked about last time about like jumping around from project to project, I think that has helped me a lot to be more productive, because I've just been jumping from thing to thing, and it feels like I'm getting a lot more done now because I'm not too concerned about trying to finish one thing, you know. So I think that's good.
I'm taking credit.
Yeah,
I gave you good advice. You guys say I talk too much, maybe not enough. Okay. No. Wait, did you say you're doing asset stuff?
Yeah, I'm making an asset. Yeah.
What a coincidence, because the first topic we were going to talk about is asset using in game dev and asset flipping. Sometimes it'd be controversial depending on who you are, but a lot of times when you work on 3D games particularly, the idea that you're going to make every single asset in your game is a little overwhelming. So we're going to talk about today our stances on using assets, on buying assets, maybe finding free assets, how we feel about using them in our game, whether or not you should be editing them. I don't know, the whole topic around assets and just where they fit into game development as a tool, or if we're going to lean on them, and to what extent you should be leaning on them. So what do you guys think right now about assets and who's using them? I think all you guys use them to some extent, right?
Yeah.
I never used an asset.
You lying sack of shit. Maxie, tell me about assets since you're not going to be honest with me.
No, I don't give a shit at all. If I have a game I want to make, I don't care about who dies to make it. No, but like
Who dies?
I think I know what you're saying.
like I don't think about I can't use so many assets to make the game. Like this is the game I want to make, and if I can use this asset to get there faster, why not? Right?
For sure.
So yeah, that's my style. I don't think there's anything wrong with using asset to get to a goal faster.
Henry, what do you think? I mean, you guys can jump in any moment here.
Well, no. I was just I think in the space of like indie game dev, YouTuber people, there's a lot of people that review like indie games, and they will say like, oh, this game uses this asset, so it's like an asset flip. So I think for a certain portion of the audience of gamers, they see anybody that uses assets as like a very negative thing. And even within the game dev community, I feel like there are some people who think that the more assets you use and the less work that you actually put in, the less like valid that thing is as like your creation, you know? And I think that assets are there to be used, right? People make it so you can use it. So I don't think there should be any worry about like, is this fine or is this not you know.
If most people would think that, would have the opinion that if a game uses assets, nobody would use assets. Right? If a game is bad, if it's using assets, if everybody has this opinion, nobody would use assets, right? None of us would use assets.
I guess the market
so.
dictates a lot of that, but I feel like a lot of it is like perception, like
if it's ethical or not, really. Like, I think a major part of it is the consideration if it's ethical. Sure, you can legally, but the question around what AI art is right now, and also the asset flips and taking the assets, and what the difference between that is with asset flips, you often buy the assets from actual creators who are selling a product. But with AI, you're not you're just using a free tool most of the time. So you get the ethical consideration that draws that line. And I think what Maxi was saying, where no one would use assets if everyone thought using assets was bad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think, yeah, I agree with that, because I think a lot of people are on that side where they're completely fine with people using assets because they've paid other artists, and that's fine. Then it gets into the topic of expression, and if you're using someone else's assets, are you expressing yourself, or are you just expressing someone else's art style or creation or whatever? But that is definitely a lot more deeper way to think of it. But as a general making game perspective, I'm all for using assets as long as you ethically and legally obtain them.
Ethically, I don't think there's any question. It's ethical. When it's not ethical, I don't think that's at any question either. If there's paid assets and you're stealing them, that would pretty much be unethical. If it's not assets, but you're airlifting parts out of games, I think we saw that with, it was like in an Uncharted game or a Ubisoft game. There was literally it was like artwork that was like concept art, and they had it in the background as like a photo, and it was like, oh, this was supposed to be filler, forgot to take it out. Moments like that, it's very clear cut. I don't think there's any room for discussion. Like when you don't have the rights to use a thing, if you're using it as a placeholder, you can't ship your game with that placeholder. So that one's clear cut. The only caveat to that is, do you lose any creative integrity from buying and using up an obsessive amount of an insane amount of assets, or an sort of an obtuse amount, too many basically? Is there too many uses of assets? At what point does it become you have a Lego toolkit that you're just taking from? Or I'll say it this way: would you be okay with a game 100% someone else's assets? You never edited a model ever. It's all assets you bought online. Is that totally fine with you guys?
Oh, absolutely. People do that all the time. Like, just think of a game jam where someone's an artist and someone's a programmer, right? The artist's doing all the work, except you don't pay them because you're broke. Or you've got an agreement where you're like, okay, we're doing this as a joint fund project.
I mean,
it's very much the same with assets. Like, if you buy assets from only one person, you just have all of those assets in your game. Sure, you might have spent like $200. I don't know how much assets cost because I only download the free ones. But yeah, it's just someone else's assets that you're using for a game, and it's your right to sell it. If people complain that it's an asset flip, then they gotta take a jab at actually programming themselves, because I don't know. I think it's pretty hard to do the programming. It's a big thing. People forget.
Okay, yeah, we almost went back into the ethics. No, I think it's totally legal to do. I'm saying, do you look down on someone who's like, I did zero of the art in a main game, I just paid for other art? Because I feel like creative integrity there, I would personally go like, that means less to me than someone, if I'm ranking it, we have the S, A, B, C, D tier of stuff. I think S tier is you make your own art. It just has to be, right? Are we going to lie to us? Like, if I'm being if I'm not trying to be disingenuous, I'm trying to be authentic. I think making your own art is incredibly, I don't know, it's virtuous.
I mean, coming from
think so.
artist guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Shut up.
But for like an absolute shitty artist like me, who can only do like vector art, I can literally only do like vector art. Like, I'm not even joking. I think I did a lot of art myself because it was a lot of trial and error, but I ended up scrapping actually almost more than half of it. So doing my own art was always kind of more out of laziness, because I was like, oh, I can't be bothered like going out and sourcing all this art and making it the same art style. I just might as well just do it myself at this point. And it wasn't too hard because it wasn't a lot of work. It was vector art, which is pretty easy.
Henry, you want to jump in? Jump in. I'm ready.
I feel like I disagree with what you're saying. I don't. Think
I know. I'm
like,
ready for it.
I don't think it's like less creatively valid that somebody is using assets that they didn't create.
Do you think the creativity level is the same of someone taking our assets and making our assets? I want to hear you say that because that's such a dumb fucking take. I love you, buddy.
Some people are not good at making I'm not good at making art.
I agree.
So what do you say to those people? They just can't make games. They're just
no. I'm not saying that.
You're saying that if they make a game with other people's stuff, that it's not as
I would view that.
form.
No, it's as valid a game as any, but I view that as there's definitely a step down there in terms of what's happening art-wise. And I think if you really talk to them and they're being open and honest, maybe after a couple drinks, they go, yeah, I really wish I had a cool artist that could have made all the things I wanted to make. I really wish I had art that no other fucking person had in my game. Right? I think we'd all kind of admit that.
Okay, there's one thing I want to admit while being, pro assets. Overall, games that make their own art, they have it has some special feel to it. Like Lethal Company, I think he made everything by himself, right?
I don't know.
No idea.
Like it looks all like kind of shitty, but shitty in the same way, which makes like cohesive.
Is it low? It's low poly, right? It's like a low poly style.
Yeah.
It's weird because in my head I just think about the game as a first person, but they're definitely Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's all consistent, so it looks good.
Yeah. So it has some vibe to it that I enjoy.
I think when we talk about this and we talk about like, oh, there are games that are better, creatively better because they have made their own asset. I feel like it takes. We talked about this, right? If we switch it the other way, right? We have an artist who is really, really good at art, and then they start buying a bunch of coding assets, and they piece together a game made from coding assets. Is that less of a game because they didn't write any of the code? Or not less of a game. How are you?
I don't
like,
think it's less of a game.
No, wait. I can
either way,
explain.
it's not less of a game.
I can explain what's happening there. We would expect you, and I think you totally agree with. I think this analogy is perfect because it is the two sides of the coin. We would expect you if you just made art and you were purchasing in Godot, it might be nodes. If you were purchasing pre-programmed assets to your game that were gave you sort of movement and combat and inventory or other, we would expect your game to be way less customized and way less deep in a specific way that you wanted, because you're not going to find everything you want when it comes to code, and that's super true for art too. We would expect that if you're not making any of the art yourself and you have no ability to modify stuff, which, just a caveat to there, I can feel the comments already roasting me. Most people are paying for assets and editing them, and that's a good way to go about it. In this hypothetical, if you're just paying for assets, not editing anything, we would expect you to not really have what you need at any given time, right? Almost ever. So it goes both ways. Like, we would expect some level of shallowness there.
Okay, yeah, that's a valid point. Like, if you're not editing them at all, like, you can't really do much. Because all the paid assets, unless you get it from, like, the same person, they're just not going to be the same. Like, there's going to be some stuff that's, like, different. Like, the poly count's going to be different. Like, one will be slightly higher res than the other. And it's going to look off. Like, you honestly, you have to edit the assets for your game if you're paying for them, if you want to have like a consistent game, or get it from one source, basically get all your assets from one source, make your own.
I think the problem that I'm thinking of is like, whenever we talk about it like being lesser or not as creatively, man, I can't figure out what's the phrasing that you use when you talk about
argued that there's creative integrity that's getting lost there if you're never doing any sort of artistic anything to your game, and there's no artist in your team, right? It's just you, and you're getting art online. I think some of and it's not, doesn't mean you're a bad game developer or your game's bad, but I don't think you would look at it and go like, man, the art in my game's based. It's like, well, we got your assets together, and you made a great game, but the creative integrity of the art might be questionable or lesser than if you made your own art. That's all I'm saying. It's like on a tier list. Like it's A tier versus S tier.
The creative
Nobody.
integrity of the art.
People that have never gone outside and touched grass. Those are the only people.
I
Well,
don't know. Like if I
I
play a
think
game as a gamer, I don't care about the creative integrity of the art, right?
I think this is well. I think the problem is that there are some people. This is what I was talking to. There's this one YouTuber who's like pretty big that reviews a lot of like tactical shooters. I think I can't. His name is like Big Fry Fish TV or something.
Sure.
And like he will go into this guy's big. This guy's huge. Uh, he will go into indie games and like point out certain things and go like, oh, that's an asset. That's a paid asset. That's a paid asset. That's a paid asset. And then people from his community will go and like dogpile on this person.
Oh, that's
who's
so shit.
who spent all this time like working on like building out their game. And it's so when I hear people say like, oh, it's like it has less creative integrity because they use assets, like making a game isn't just about the art. And I think people who want good art, they should be able to pay to have it in their game. If somebody is offering that as a service, right, like, hey, here's an asset you can buy and put in your game. It's like, why, like, I don't think there should be a, when you say from your perspective that there is less creative integrity behind it, I feel like people will hear that and hear that there is less.
So
I think I
that-
agree, even though you haven't finished. I think I agree with it. Just keep going, though.
Yeah, that it is less of a game because of it, right? Because you're a indie game developer, right? And they think like, okay, this guy like knows what he's talking about, and he says, oh, this game is less of a game because it has less creative integrity. Then go like, well, every game that uses assets has less creative integrity, so they're less of a game. So I shouldn't support that. But it's like there shouldn't be. I don't know what I don't know, because it's sort of like I don't think you should worry about what other people think, you know, or like how other people interpret it, but it is sort of maybe that is something to think about, you know, like how other people take the things that you think. But it's a lot of work. Okay, even if somebody took a game or took like a bunch of assets and then made that into a game, that's a lot of work to do. Or if somebody takes the other way, if an artist takes a bunch of different coding assets and then they add their own art into it, that's still a lot of work to do, you know? It's so much effort that goes into it, and to say that it's has less creative integrity because this one aspect of the game wasn't developed by you, it feels like so shitty for somebody who spent all this time to put in all this work into a game where they put in their creative energy into it, for it to just like, you didn't make it, so, and you know, let me you know, this
Okay,
game
hold
isn't-
on.
in the end,
Let
I
me
don't
snipe
think-
out a.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Maxi. No, you're
don't
good.
think-
I can hold it.
I don't think a lot of people care about assets. I think most people can't spot assets. Like
I think-
but if you review a lot of indie games, I can see you being like, yeah, that's nice. I've seen that before, and yeah, but I don't think this opinion of, you know, a game, or like that you should be hating on a game because it uses. I think that's stupid. But in the end, we can't change it. And if those people won't buy the games we make with assets because of that, I don't think it really matters, because most people don't think that way.
I think I agree that a majority of gamers are not really in the space. Even like people that play indie games, maybe they'll buy an indie game they think is cool, like they see on Steam, and they'll buy it, and then they won't even recognize what is a paid asset or what isn't. But I feel that the most vocal people are going to be the people that are obviously involved in the space, right? That are like inside of the community. And those people, I feel, are more vocal and do care more about assets because of other people perpetuating these negative ideas about less creative integrity that propagates to like more demeaning thoughts about people who use assets.
Okay, couple thoughts here. One, the demeaning stuff is where I am agree. We can start with the agreement thing. There is this weird thing that exists now more with social media and with YouTubers and dumb streamers and all this stuff, where people have a very neutral take on something, right? And then someone will make a video essay or have a stream hot take, and then all of a sudden people will propagate some dumb ass shit, and that's exactly what I'm just hearing there. Some guy will go like, this is a reuse asset, that's a reuse asset, and the people will hear that guy, look up to that guy, then review bomb that thing. That's so fucking dumb, because here's the truth about reuse assets. It only matters if your audience realizes they're reused, and most of that guy's audience would have no fucking idea. I have never seen his channel, but I'm just guessing, because most gamers really don't know. They have no idea when an asset's getting reused. But if someone's going to point it out...
Stupid gamers, you stupid
They
people.
are dumb as fuck, okay? I love them. Buy my game. I don't have it for sale, so fuck you. Okay, so that, I agree with you 100%, Henry. You're a smart guy. Unfortunately, here's some things I'm pushing back on, right? Because at some point you go, you work so hard to put together all those assets. Oh, poor baby. Worked so hard to go get those assets and put them into his fucking game. How hard do you think it is to actually draw them, you piece of shit? Holy fuck you. I love you, buddy. But I'm just saying, oh my God, it's so much harder to do all that work, to draw all that stuff. So if you're going to complain about how hard the work is there, I'm going to, of course, show that mirror to someone like me who's drawing our assets, of going like, well, you can't say it's hard work. It's hard work to make them too, of course. Also, how would you feel about this? Let's say you made a game, you worked on all these art assets, and then you put your game out there and you got shit on for making bad art, and then some other game that just used art assets got like praised, and he's like, oh, the art's amazing in this game. I'd blow my brains out. I'd be like, Jesus Christ, I should have paid for some random piece of shit online. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much, just talk fast. What do you think about those 2 points, Henry?
Okay. Yes, people who make their own art, it's obviously more work because they actually have to do it themselves, and it's like commendable that they're putting in all this effort. But I think the other point is a great point that I think actually leans towards me. If you put out a game and you're not great at art, and then your game gets shit on for having bad art, there shouldn't be a negative, like, I think maybe if you're saying like, oh, I want to make the art because that's how I want to creatively express myself in this game, that's fine. And if it gets like not review bomb, but if it gets like negative reviews because of the bad art, that's like a sign like, yo, you're not a great artist, right? But I don't think that you then should go and look at somebody who did use paid assets and go like, what the fuck? I spent all this time making my own art, but this person is getting praised for using paid assets. That's not fair. Like, what do you mean? Like, you decided to creatively express yourself in this way, and it didn't work out because you're not that talented in it. But if it's okay, like, nobody's talented at every single aspect in game development. So you could just buy an asset, and I don't think they should be like, well, how come they got praised for buying an asset? Like, bro, there's still like effort put into the other stuff. Like, you shouldn't, like, it's not fair for you just because you put in work into something to then go look at somebody who didn't put in work in that one aspect of their game and go like, it's not fair that they're seeing all the success because they didn't make that. It's like it's available for everybody to buy,
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
I think that's a good take.
Do you? Because I'm about to push back again, okay? Henry about to take an L. No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck
Love
yeah,
you.
I'm ready for it.
Okay, one thing here. We said you sort of planted it like art is subjective, meaning that you could have like bad art in your game and that there was some kind of asset pack that got good art. That was my sort of take to you, that one person's art got sort of shit on. The problem is that art isn't really that way. And do you worry at all that we're sort of pushing ourselves in a direction where we're just going to do the most polished copy and paste stuff? And, we watched the Pontypants video where he's making the game about climbing, right? And he's just like, was it him? Or maybe mixing it up.
No, yeah, it was him.
But I don't know. I know it's him, but maybe it wasn't him that made the rock assets. I've seen videos where it's like, I don't love drawing rocks, so I'm just gonna use this one rock asset. And I feel like I've seen this asset in so many games.
Yeah.
Do you worry at all that we're pushing towards that direction where it's like, why make the thing at all? Just go copy it. Why would you waste your time, you dumb idiot? Just go copy it online. Just go take it online. Even if you're paying for it, just do it. But then also, art isn't so objective. It's incredibly subjective. And sometimes drawing something that's a little bit fucked up, a little bit scuffed, is kind of cool. It's kind of this interesting dynamic way. I mean, you could never do an art asset for that fucking, what's the pizza game with the guy that's losing his mind and it looks like it's made in MS Paint, right? That game's never happening with art assets. That's some guy who's like objectively, or you could argue, bad at art, right? That's a lot of it's bad art, you know what I mean? Or it's sort of always messy and gross looking or unappealing. I don't know, there's love and passion in that, and that's sort of what it means to be an artist, taking that chance. And too many people are afraid that they're not going to make something perfect, so just buy the art asset. It's like, no, maybe make the fucked up thing. Maybe the fucked up thing could be really interesting and unique to you, and something we're never going to see again, instead of the same fucking rock boulder asset we've seen 1,400,000 times.
I disagree. Completely. Like when you're talking about a game about climbing, the precursor to that, which is Getting Over It, has used all these assets from everywhere over the internet, and it's such a symbolic message when you play the game and you know why he's done all these free assets as well. And that along with the narration as well. It's just makes the game like really such a good game to play. And he didn't. I'm pretty sure he might have made a few, but I'm pretty sure most of them were just free assets online, and it was just a massive dump of just assets from here, assets from there, and that's a really good example of using free assets in a way that's very unique, and that's a way that's very creatively
I don't agree
integrity.
with that.
What?
I don't think
I
anyone
don't
plays
know.
those games. No one plays those games. I'm just gonna say it. No one plays those games and thinks the
No
art
one.
is the amazing.
Wow.
No, well, let me finish my sentence, you
Wow.
Australian piece of garbage. No one plays those games and thinks the art is the drawing point there. If anything, the most interesting part artistically about those games is the naked guy in the pot with the sledgehammer. Right? It's the things that he did that's not
Wow.
that looks unique and different. But those games are played. Literally, the whole point of those games is like, let's just forget a lot of what makes a game and just show you a struggle and have you participate and try to succeed in a big struggle. It's almost like just don't worry about the art. The art's not important. Like that seems to be the message there. But I would never look at those games and go, isn't that a good example of art? I go, no, and I don't think they would tell you that either. They go, no, it's not the point. The point is to give you this incredible challenge, make you feel frustrated, make you feel invested.
I thought it was interesting. I thought just the massive dump of art was like really cool and very creative and very defining of not even a genre because it's not that big, but I think it was super unique. Like no one else had like done something like that before.
I hate that I don't know the name of the game, but do you think that's better or more artistically impactful than that dumb pizza game I mentioned? I forget the name of it. I'm sorry, my brain's full of...
The dumb pizza game. I don't know about this dumb pizza game.
Henry,
You're
can you
gonna have
help
to
me?
show
Do you know
me.
what I'm talking about? The
Yeah,
game where you...
it's like a platformer where you're playing as a pizza guy and it's like you're fighting bosses. It's sort of like Hollow Knight, except
Pizza guy?
with yeah, it's like MS Paint. Yeah, I think it's called the
Pizza Tower.
Pizza Tower, yeah, that's what it's called.
So you've never seen it, but I would say if you saw these two games together, I don't think you're looking at one and going, or you're looking at both and going like equally artistically exciting. I think you're looking at one and going like, this is different and interesting, and this is not about that. And I think the Getting Over It type game, it's not about the art. I would say we disagree, but
But the act of like going through this struggle is sort of like a form of art, right? It's very creative that he's not focusing on the visuals, he's focusing more on the experience, right?
Yeah,
but
and I think
he's
that's
using
okay.
and he's using this big massive like free assets, or I don't even know if they're free, like it's whatever, or not free. I don't know if
it could even be made. Yeah, I don't even.
yeah, he could have made it. It doesn't matter. The point is that that game has as much creative integrity as the Pizza Tower game, because he's not really focusing on the assets. He's focusing on like building an experience that just uses those assets to convey that to you, right?
Yeah.
So that's not creatively less. It doesn't have less creative integrity because there's a bunch of assets that he didn't make, you know?
Honestly, how many games actually like rely on having good art? Like how many games are good because they have good art?
Yeah,
I don't think it's a necessity.
There's not that many.
Is there any game that you can name that is just a good game because of the good art and not because of really anything else?
Just a good game because of the art. I mean, that's such a weird. Is there any game you could name that's just a good game because of the
Like
guess
it's a
gameplay
it's
is the
successful,
name of games,
or
but-
you know, people like the game because it has, good art. You know, people put effort into the art.
probably
They-
some
they didn't
pretentious
use
games that
that
we
or
wouldn't say are good.
I like.
But-
I was thinking about Journey. I like that game.
I was
That's
thinking
one of
that
my-
too, but I don't know. I didn't play it really.
Yeah, that's
play
one
it.
of my favorite games. Journey is like a really great game. And I think that game really focuses a lot about the aspect of the art and like visuals. And I think it's okay for you to like try to like tell a creative message or like show this creative experience through visual stuff. But what I'm saying is that I don't think that because you didn't make it, if you didn't make an art asset, the creative expression of something doesn't have to just be dictated on whether an asset was made by you or not, right? There's different ways that you can express something, like through an experience, through struggle, like getting over it, right? And to say that that is less, like what I said, it has less creative integrity because it was using pre-made stuff.
Hold on. Just in the art aspect is all I'm saying. I'm saying artistically, I think creatively, there's less integrity when you take something versus when you make something. Even
But
if you
that's
make
what-
something that's worse.
But that's what I'm saying. You
You're
were
trying to-
saying,
We can
No, no, no,
we can
but-
agree on that. That
No, no.
This
I thought we could.
creative
It doesn't sound like we could.
integrity in the aspect of the art is lost, but in the end, I don't think anybody cares about that. Like, none
I don't
of
think
the
so either,
players
yeah.
care about
no,
that.
no,
So-
no. But that's this is my point. Is that you said that it has less creative integrity in terms of the art, and I was
Yeah.
thinking of it as the experience of the whole game, because that
Those are two separate
communication-
things, though, right?
No, but I didn't understand that. But I thought
Oh,
that was your point. You see, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
Listeners, rewind the VOD. Okay, go back. I might have misspoke if I was wrong. That's how I
no, I don't think you misspoke. I think it was just like a miscommunication, and I
maybe.
think that is the problem right there. Is that when you say like this game has less creative integrity, people don't think, oh, it has less creative integrity in the creation of the art. They think it has less creative integrity in terms of the whole game, and that's where we get into the argument. You know?
Let me ask you this: do you think that you as a developer, do you think you have any sort of like, how would I say this? Is there any pressure set on you to transform your product, even when you find our asset online fits your game perfectly? Is there any sort of pressure on you to be like, let me go in there and change a little bit? Because I don't necessarily, and this isn't like an integrity thing. I'm just saying, let's say I was making a game, I would feel a little bummed if like I was proud of something like a character model that was really cool, and then I booted up some other game or saw some trailer and I was like, oh, he's using the same fucking thing. I should have changed mine a little. That way, it's like I stand out. Or
I'm gonna say something. I don't want it to seem like I'm like fighting against my own opinion, but personally, for me, I would not want to use any pre-made assets on any hero assets.
and he argues with me. Why does he argue with me? He knows I'm right. He knows I'm right.
but-
Listeners, he knows I'm right.
but-
Go to
but-
verasstudios.org and send him an email.
but that's my decision, and I don't think if
Yeah.
somebody decides to use like a pre-made asset for their main character, that it should be less of because they decided.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing. I don't think it makes sense to change an asset just for the sake of change. I never did that. I never changed an asset. Just, I bought this asset and I don't want to use the asset just like that, so I'm gonna, change it a little bit. No, it's always like I want this. I have this asset, which is close to it, but not perfect, so I'll change it. Like with the soldiers from a game. There used to be knights from a Cinti pack. And I just removed the helm and made my own helm and changed the colors, and now it's a sci-fi soldier. And yeah.
Maxi, would you feel any pressure if you had game art that was like, let's say you had a game that was in KB Toys, that place is out of business. They were in Electronic Boutique, that place out of business. GameStop, there you go. Let's say you had a game in GameStop with game art on it, and the front and center thing, people like soldiers walking away from explosions. Let's say the front and center thing was an art asset that you bought, but you had no like changing on at all. Would that make you feel weird or uncomfortable, or be like, ooh, I wish I was? How would you feel about that?
I mean, it used to be like that, right? It used to be on my Steam page. There was the medieval knight from Cinti was there. In a lot of thumbnails, actually. I mean, it was
Yeah, I
changed a
did see
bit.
that.
But only the colors at this point. Now all this has changed, but I didn't feel weird about that. It was just like that I knew this is not final. So, but if it was on a finished game,
Would you feel any less?
I could. Okay. I think I would feel. It would feel a little weird to put that on there. Like if I, like thinking about like the cover of a game, or like also the character that the player looks at all the time, or even the enemies that the player looks at all the time. If they were assets that are like known, that I like know from other games, maybe I feel like that could feel weird, but I don't think it impacts the player. Except if it's like super popular. Let's say I release World of Honor that gets popular, and there's one popular character, and it's like one Synthi model, and then someone else uses that in a game. I think if players then see this model and they're like, hey, the model was in World of Honor already, that might be weird. That might feel weird to the player.
I have a question.
I might have an answer.
Okay, this actually might be for you, Zeth, because I feel like you make the most I think that's your like domain is like art. Would you, let's say you made a character for a game, and you put all this effort into it.
Yep.
Would you ever think about selling that asset, like your main character asset?
Fuck yeah, I need money. You can have anything I have. Yeah, of course. Do you mean like selling my main game stuff? Probably not. No, if I'm not I'm memeing. If we're not memeing and it's Far Gun Frontier, probably don't want to be selling that. Probably not.
Okay, well, yeah.
The game jam stuff I'm totally okay with because in my head, those were never meant to be big projects. And even if they are big projects, they feel so part of my community where it's like, these are things we shared, things we made. I always encourage people to take them and make something cool with them. No one has, because I don't know, it's a lot of work. But when it comes to my game, my main thing, there does feel to be some ownership of like, I shouldn't. But if someone did like stole something and put it in their game as like it wasn't profiting over it, but I mean, they went into Far Gun Frontier and they took a character. I'd feel flattered at first. If they were profiting and it was way more successful, I'd feel like, oh, it sucks. But at first, yeah, I'd feel like, oh, that's kind of cool. You like my thing. Where are we going with that? Did I take it off the rails? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you didn't take it off the rails.
Recenter me.
You just kind of like asserted your point that you think it's weird. So I was like, okay, whatever. Never mind. You're consistent, I guess.
Morally consistent. That's right. That's why they come to the MZ_F channel.
So I wanted to talk like very quickly about the when people like say this is an asset flip, there are like actual asset flips that exist, right? And I don't want to like say like to, even though I hold this opinion, there are like people who will make a game just for the profit, and they'll take a bunch of assets, and then they'll take like coding assets and they'll just mash it together. Or take a template and just like reskin it, or not reskin and just like release that. I think that's when there is no like design, when the main goal, when the only goal is to make money, I feel like that's when it becomes a problem. Like the only goal is to make money.
What do you mean by the problem in that context?
Because it's so easy and fast to make.
Mm-hmm.
You could just like take a template, get some assets, and then put it together and just put it on, as a mobile game. And I feel like it's a problem because like it's just taking up like visual space in like a storefront, and then people like download it and there's just a bunch of ads, and it's not really it kind of takes away. I mean, is what an asset.
Really, yeah. Is it what an asset flip is, or is it just what a weird pretty much every single mobile game is?
Not every single one,
but like,
mobile
90%. I don't know.
Are mobile games known for that? Or mobile?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I said MOBA. Okay, mobile games.
Mobile games. Yeah. Like I think that's the idea, right? It's like
we do look down on mobile games.
Yeah, exactly, because there are so many asset flips on mobile, right?
And the
and the weird ads
gotta be free.
And the weird ads. Come on, let's be real. That's the main thing, I reckon.
Yeah, I think it's the price cost. I think 0 to 99 cents just makes it seem like bloatware. It's just garbage. It feels like garbage programs.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
It's garbage asset flips, right? And I feel like this has like a very negative connotation because it is like.
I don't think it's It's like, it's not bad because it's flipping assets. It's bad because it's not at all an interesting game. It's
Honestly,
literally just there to
if you
make
would do like
money.
a complete asset flip where you just mash together, if in the end there's a game that's fun there, I don't see a problem with it.
Are asset flips okay if they're fun?
Like, or I don't see a problem with it at all. Like, if they're not fun, then I guess it's just a bad game, right? It's just someone making a bad game. It's like I can see you like thinking, well, it's kind of cringe if they're making a profit on that. why do I even spend so much time making games? But yeah.
The term asset flip, does that mean you're stealing the asset? Maybe I'm not caught up on
No,
this.
no,
No,
asset
no,
flip
asset
is
flip
you take
Well, the term
assets
comes-
to make the game, or like too many assets. What you said earlier.
Yeah, it's
okay.
like
Go ahead, Henry.
like the term like asset flip is you buy assets and you flip that into a game. It's like you're like doing no work and you're flipping that. You're just serving that to the customer, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is that like where you have basically the outline of what the game is and you just plug in assets and you're like, now it's a fantasy game, like, and it's like,
Yeah. It's like what happened to your camera, Maxi?
That is not happening to my camera. What the heck?
no, I have
Honestly,
a lot of fun doing
I
these
was
always.
disinterested at some point, so I was. I'm gonna show you when my webcam is back on. I was flipping these things.
Yeah, that was very audible, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comes through on the microphone. When you were doing that, I was like, as a listener, I'm like, well, he's bored. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you hear when it hits the ground, or do you hear when I do this?
Yeah. Especially when it hits
All
the
of that,
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does sound. It's like the beer. A bar scene or something. It's like clinks and clanks.
Yeah.
Foliage noise. You're a noise guy. Is that what it's called? That's what they call it in the English language. Foliage, I think.
A noise guy. We gotta start back with new energy, like now in the conversation.
Okay.
Should we do like push-ups
Yeah.
or something? We gotta do jumping
I like.
jacks.
I do like that. It's like, okay, we've been going for 50 minutes on the same topic. Can we just bring some energy? It's like, all right, assets are good. Like, I don't even know how to start on that.
Yeah.
We ran through it all. Okay, here's-
maybe we can jump to the conclusion.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna say I could talk about me because that's the only way I can make it interesting. I've never
Okay.
used an asset, and I may never use an asset. I don't know where I fall in that. Obviously, if I ever went into 3D, no, actually, if I ever went into 3D, I would feel like I'm more compelled just to make my own stuff. Yeah, or at least heavily modify it. I see people take like character models, and then from there, like what Henry did. Henry, when you made that character model, are you starting with a model, then you're editing it and getting there, or are you starting with like a sphere and you're editing into a person?
It was a sphere. Yeah.
Oh, that's way more impressive, buddy. I thought you were taking like a character model and being like, I'm not trying to make something different with it. See, this is the problem with asset flipping. I never know whether or not to be impressed. I see something, I'm like, that's cool. I'm glad you could afford to buy that. Or I don't
Were
know.
you not impressed? What did you think?
I
like,
was impressed.
No, like, yeah.
No,
Isn't that a
no.
compliment, right? That's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Very
I
good
mean,
compliment.
Yeah, that was.
All right, let's
Bro,
cut here. Let's
Maxi,
start again here.
Maxi, I will fucking beat you. I will find you and fucking beat you to the ground. Put that shit away. God, I feel like a teacher. I'm in fucking school. Jesus.
Yeah.
Maxie was like, you gotta be better, and then he just goes right to fucking.
I didn't even throw. Come on. I just had it still in my hand. Sorry,
This guy loves fiddling with small things.
bro. I have ADD.
Well, I just wanted to. I don't know. I wanted to say that there are like such things as asset flips, and those are like negative and perceived by I think everybody as being like a negative thing. And I thought it was gonna be like a unanimous thing that like yo, I don't like that people are comparing these games that have a lot of effort put into it and calling them asset flips. But then I don't know. Maxi started saying that actually asset flips are cool.
I don't say they're cool, but I don't think they're a problem, like to anybody, right? Like who are they hurting?
You could argue they hurt the market, right? You're uploading all these games, now you're sifting through these bad low effort games, and it makes it look like yeah, there's a lot of garbage out there.
Yeah, that's I can see that, but it's not like we should ban them or something.
I don't think they should be banned, but I just wish people didn't do it, and
Yeah.
but you can't. That's just a wish.
It's
But
cringe
then-
to do it. We can agree on
yeah, it's cringe to do it, and I think people like view that like an asset flip, and then they start like calling these games that are not that and saying these are asset flips too, and like I don't think that's fair to say that like asset flip is like a negative thing. So just because you use assets, you shouldn't worry about it being an asset flip. I think if you're worried about something being an asset flip, it's sort of like a indicator that it's not one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one last question. And this sort of goes back to our debate. I'm sorry, I forgot to do this one. And no, I don't think I did do this one. Okay, so you were saying you guys sort of unanimously said it doesn't really bother you too much if you had a big art asset and it was in some other game and also in, well, let's just say as a gamer, right? You're playing a game and you notice an art asset that's in another game. Well, I'll just start there. Does that bother you guys as gamers?
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't use it as a hero.
Okay,
Hero,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you see it as a rock or a background image, it's not a big deal. But if you see it
Yeah.
as like the main thing, you're like, really? What are we
I
doing
think you
here?
just don't
Yeah,
see
yeah.
it when it's like a rock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
hoping that you don't notice. My next question there, because we seem, I don't know. This isn't really pointing. I'm just curious. How do we feel about audio assets getting flipped or reused? In the sense that, like, it would definitely bother me if I got to a boss fight and I was like, oh, this is music from some other game, and then it would dawn on me, oh, this is just a pack. Like, there wasn't a composer for this game. Like, that would make me really bummed.
If it's music, like actual music and not just like little sound effect bites that you might have added like reverb or some sort of modulation to. If it's the actual music, then yeah, there's a problem. Like that's one of the things that will make a game a game. And I think the same thing with the hero as well. If you're using something that's in the forefront of what makes your game a game, then sure you can do it, but I don't think you should.
It seems such a strange difference that you're like, art could be reused and it's more focused on what the great idea of what is to be a game. And then we'll use the example like, well, I'm not an artist. How am I supposed to do that? But doesn't that also work for music? It's like, okay, well, I'm not a musician. Maybe I should just use this song that's just a free song. Like we would look down on that, but
I feel like I disagree with what Kobe said. I don't think you shouldn't do it. I just think, for me personally, on a personal level, I just wouldn't be happy with that. And that same concern is sort of like why I'm kind of like hesitant to use like music assets, just because like music is such a big part of your game. But at the same time, like I don't know how to make music. I can't make music. Like that seems like magic to me. Like I wouldn't even know the
he
first
says
step.
with a piano behind him.
I can play it. I just got this like it was like 2 weeks ago, so I can't even play that well. But well, that's why I got it, was to try to learn to make music, right? So I do see that drive to want to make something personal, but also if I just didn't have a piano, that's kind of the only thing I can do because I can't make music. I don't know how to do it.
It is much easier to pay people to do things for you. You can pay for music way easier than you can pay for an art asset, because when you pay for an art asset, if it's one person, it has to match the rest of your game. But you can oftentimes pay for like 4 songs, and that can be most of your game, like 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah.
So it's just easier to pay for.
Yeah, and on a personal level,
I think
is like. Go ahead.
I think, Seth, what you're mixing up between what we're saying earlier and what we're saying now is free assets is different to paid assets, because free assets often are shit, and then the paid assets you also often get in a pack that's in a certain style or something. Same way you would pay for music. You're paying for someone to create music for you. That could also be seen as an asset flip if you want, because music is just like anything in your game. It is an asset that you're going to use via code. And paying for that, if you don't know how to do it yourself, is just as similar, if not the same, as paying for an asset pack, right?
Well, I think you should pay for someone to make you music. You shouldn't pay for an asset pack of music, because as soon as you're paying for an asset pack of music, then you run the risk of someone else having that exact same music, right? So what I'm saying is that you should get someone to make something for you.
I think
Okay, so you're fine with paying.
the thing with music is if it's like some very very generic music, if it's like elevator music or something, you have it playing in an elevator. I don't think I don't think I would be like even thinking about it if I heard the same elevator song in 2 different games. But if it's like some game theme track, right? Something that always comes up when you finish a mission or something. I don't know. So, like
a motif, yeah, the main theme.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be weird. That would feel weird as a player, and I wouldn't want to have that in the game. But just because it's so not music in this way, in this main theme way, it's just not generic enough to be so you can use packs, music packs.
Yeah.
in the way you can use assets.
I think it's sort of the same thing where like there are certain assets like music,
Exactly.
yeah, that are like at the forefronts. So like a boss theme, you know, that's sort of like a big thing.
Yeah.
Or even like an, you know, whatever, a main theme. But I think I still hold the same opinion where I personally wouldn't want to use like a piece of music as a main thing, but I don't think, you know, if somebody else uses it, it's whatever. Like you know, I don't think they should be looked down upon. And if you see it, I think it's that one is more difficult because I feel like you notice music more. So if you hear music and you notice that it's in a different game, it sort of, I can agree that it does kind of take away from that experience. But that's like that's such a like inside virtual, like visceral, like feeling that you can't really control. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not generic enough. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like to me the biggest issue with using any assets, music or art, is when people start to recognize it or notice it from game to game. That's when the illusion falls apart. That's when we talk about seeing behind the curtain, and it just feels like we're taken out of the experience. I think that could be maybe the overarching thing we all sort of agree upon. And I'm not actually that negative on using our assets. I just, when I see art and it's drawn by someone and it's not so good, I still go like, hey, that guy's trying, right? That's kind of where I fell on everything.
Me, I go, that's shit, bro.
That
What
shit,
the
bro.
fu-
Bro,
what the fuck
$5.99. Got him.
is-
All right. Well, that was the Overscoped podcast. Thank you, Maxi Dev on YouTube. Thank you, Henry, Vera Studios on YouTube. And thank you, Kobe Dev on YouTube. My name is MZ_F, and you should probably just not subscribe to me. Subscribe to those guys. They're really cool, and I'm going to go jump off a bridge. Love you guys.
We're the
We'll see you next
smallest-
time.
Whoa. Whoa.